And welcome to another Moody Talk. This is our second Moody Talk on interpersonal effectiveness. And I love this part of DBT because I think a lot of people, we're not taught interpersonal communication. We're not taught that in life. That's not a social skill that we necessarily learn. We learn it by doing it. And that's not exactly the perfect way to learn how to communicate with people, right? Because it's not static. It's not something that is like learned piece by piece. You're pulling this in based on experiences. And some of those experiences can go really well and some can go really poorly, right? So I think learning about interpersonal effectiveness through DBT has been fantastic for me because if you haven't gone to the last week's Moody Talk, the first Moody Talk, we talk about what interpersonal effectiveness is. Are you afraid to, get into an argument with someone? Are you afraid of conflict? Do you back off of it? Do you avoid it? Do you back down in a conflict, even though you deserve to get what you want out of it, right? And many times we can feel very disrespected in interpersonal communication with others. And so interpersonal effectiveness, this whole part of DBT, is fantastic because it goes through those parts that we can gain coping skills for. And this week we're talking about getting what you want, right? And that is called objectives effectiveness, okay? So objective effectiveness, getting what you want, is going to help us to, hone in on the situation, what's happening in the moment, hone in on the conflict, or it may not even be a conflict. It can be an initial conversation of something that you want, or a conversation with somebody wants something from you and you don't want to do it, right? You want to say no, and no is a full stop. A lot of us don't realize that in interpersonal communication, no is a final word. It doesn't have to be repeated. It doesn't have to be enforced. It doesn't have to be, described or, given an explanation for. So we're going to go through that today. We're going to go through objectives effectiveness and how DBT collects these like coping skills into one big group is by calling it Dear Man, okay? So Dear Man is a way to remember these skills, and I won't read them all together. I'm going to read them one at a time, and then we'll look at them again. But the first one is to describe the situation you're in. Describe the current situation if necessary. If both of you are not quite sure about what's going on in the here and now, what that current event is that you're in, you want to explain it to them the way that you see it, right? Stick to the facts. Tell the person exactly what you are reacting to. You told me you would be home by dinner and you didn't get here until 11. Now that's a big gap of time, right? And yes, you would be upset that this person told you that they were going to be there hours before they actually arrived and didn't let you know about anything. That's very frustrating, right? Okay, so next, express. Express your feelings and opinions about the situation. Don't assume that the other person knows how you feel. Okay, none of us are mind readers. So the way you're feeling may not actually be really what they're seeing, because maybe you don't, the way that you communicate may not show. Maybe it doesn't, you're more like, straight edged about what you're talking about, and you don't show emotion. So you're not showing that you're upset or that you're afraid or you're sad about something, right? So it says, when you come home so late, I start worrying about you. Right? So that's the feelings, expressing the feelings behind it. I was scared. I didn't know if you were, at the hospital. I couldn't get a hold of you, right? Use phrases such as I want instead of you should. I don't want instead of you shouldn't. This is important. You want to keep it as the I pronoun, the how you are feeling, not what they should be doing, because they don't know that. They don't know what they should be doing based on you. You may have a very different idea of it than they do. Assert. Assert yourself by asking for what you want or saying no clearly. Do not assume that others will figure out what you want. Remember that others cannot read your mind. So with the assert, it says, I would really like it if you would call me when you are going to be late, right? So now you're asserting that you need something from them to make sure that your emotions are okay, right? That you're not scared for this person. You're asserting that you need to give me a sign so that I know you're okay, or, I'm understanding what's happening in this situation, right? And then reinforce, reward the person ahead of time, so to speak, by explaining positive effects of getting what you want to or need if necessary. Also clarify the negative consequences of not getting what you want to or need. I would be so relieved and a lot easier to live with if you do that. So you call me and let me know you're going to be late. Remember also to reward desired behavior after the fact. So the next time, if this is going to happen, the person calls you and lets you know, right? They let you know that they're safe. They're sorry, giving you, this feeling of, yes, my feelings, what the emotion I was feeling was relevant in this case, right? And the next time they come back and say, thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate that you gave me this call to let me know that you're safe and that you're letting me know what's going to be happening next. When are you coming home, right? So that's DEAR. So it's describe, express, assert, reinforce. Okay. Now we're going to go to man. Man is, these are things that you should be keeping in mind, okay? Stay mindful. Keep your focus on your goals. Maintain your position. Don't be distracted. Don't get off the topic. So you're going to stay, right? You're staying mindful in this moment, in this situation, in these emotions. You're not going to talk about before or after or anything like that. You want to be mindful when you're getting into this, discussion of what happened, and you're staying focused, staying in control of the situation as well, and in control of your outward emotions. Okay. It says, broken record. Keep asking, saying no, or expressing your opinion over and over and over. Just keep replaying the same thing again and again. So if they're trying to talk you off topic, you bring it back to topic and say, no, this is what we're talking about. This is how I feel. And you're saying the exact same things over and over until these people stop, and either they get it or they stop so that there's no more, of a conflict going. Ignore attacks. If another person attacks, threatens, or tries to change the subject, ignore the threats, comments, or attempts to divert you. Just keep making your point. I would still like a call. Okay, so that's if they didn't do it or they're attacking you, saying, you don't really need to know what I'm doing. Why are you asking? What do you want to know about where I was, right? No, it's not about you. You're telling them this is what happened. You didn't tell me that you were going to be late, and I was very worried about you. And you say, I would still like a call, right? Appear confident. This is important because a lot of us tend to shrink back during conflict. And this can make other people feel as though they're going to win the war, so to speak. It's not a war, but some people, they really get into it and they're like, yeah, I'm winning because she's just pulling back and she's being, quieter, and I'm winning this, right? So appear confident, appear effective and competent. Use a confident voice, tone, and physical manner. Make good eye contact. No stammering, whispering, staring at the floor, retreating, and no saying, I'm not sure. That's really important. You don't ever have to say, I'm not sure. You're sure of what you wanted from them, and they're not giving it to you. And you're reiterating, no, this is the problem here. This is the issue that's happening. This is why you're causing me distress, and I don't want to feel that distress any longer, right? So negotiate. Be willing to give to get. Offer and ask for other solutions to the problem. Reduce your request. Say no, but offer to do something else or to solve the problem another way. Focus on what will work. Not all the time you're going to get exactly what you want. And as you're going through this process, you're going to know in your mind pretty much how much give and take you're going to have to give in this, how much is going to have to happen between the two of you. Maybe you've been in this before with this person, and this is a relationship that you really have to keep. Maybe it's a boss or something like that. And so, you're not being confident, but you're asking them, well, what can we do that will help the both of us in this situation? We're both happy with what's going to happen the next time, or, we're clear on what needs to be done. Okay. And so it says, how about if you text me when you think you might be late? Okay. So instead of, I'm not going to call you. I don't have the time to call you. I'm in a place I can't call you. Okay. Well, why don't you text me? Because that's really quick and you don't have to speak. Okay. Turn the tables. Turn the problem over to the other person. Ask for other solutions. And this is what do you think we should do? I can't just stop worrying about you, or I'm not willing to, right? So you put it on them at the end. You say, okay, so we're not getting to what we need. What do you think we need to do to get this to be an appropriate experience for both of us, right? Put it to them. Make them solve the problem. And, you're going to know based on the person that you are with, if this is a long-term relationship, maybe parent, something like that, or a child, like a teenager or something. I have teenagers and I have to do this a lot with them. And, it's important to remember that you can get what you want. You may not get exactly what you want, but you're going to get what you want based on using these skills to remember how to better communicate with a person who you're in conflict with. So I hope that helped. And again, go back to the first Moody Talk if you haven't watched it, because it goes into all the different ways that we're going to learn coping skills. I'm especially fond of the self-respect aspect of it, because I think a lot of people, when they're in conflict and they let the other person have what they want, you said no multiple times, but you still ended up doing it. You feel like you've been disrespected by that person, or you've lost a little self-respect in yourself for the moment. And that's a really terrible feeling. That's very you feel very shamed about that. And that's absolutely no good. So I hope you guys will talk and come back to us next week for the third Moody Talk, and we will see you